The long intro.
There we go.
I think we're live on YouTube as well.
Now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Evan and Aaron Show presents the Red and the Blue Soccer freaking chat. We are live from our respective abodes. That is Aaron in the red, representing Manchester United. This is me, surrounded by the Blues, literally and figuratively, of Chelsea FC. Aaron, my friend, if you notice, depending on what you're seeing, I didn't even put dash, Chelsea FC by my name. I just,
you're that upset by their performance right now, are you? You're like, God,
yes, my friend. Yes. How have you been, man? What's been going on?
Lot more of the same. Working, looking after my parents' house, trying to get all that taken care of, and drinking hard at the end of the day.
No.
How about you, my friend?
Hey, no, I hear you, man. Hey, I will say, I think, yeah, no, it sounds good. Like I said, just, dude, it must be your personality. Like, you're just hot, dude. You're hot on the mic. You got the, hot looking shirt and everything, man. I'm just saying.
I can, it says Canton on the back. I can pop the collar. I can pop the collar.
Oh, damn.
Do we pop? Do we keep it popped? Do we loosen the button? Show a little bit?
It's not that kind of show.
Not that kind of show. Not yet that kind of show, man.
Not yet that kind of show, man. I am doing fine. It is that time of year. You're back after the holidays, and it's a month already gone in this year. Dude, super busy. Just super busy, but I am extremely excited about being here with you. Just FYI, I have, kind of evolved my beverage in this show. I am going whiskey on the rocks tonight, man. So I don't know how this is going to go. This, yeah, there you go. This may go off the rails a lot quicker than what it usually does.
Those are the good shows, man. I'm glad we have sound this time. Sorry, folks, the last time that we talked to you for 8 minutes and 20 seconds without realizing we hadn't enabled one of the drivers.
We solved the entire world's problems, and we did. Man.
We did. We talked about how bad the U.S. Soccer Federation is. So.
Oh man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. I think we are going to kick things off. Aaron, if you want to go ahead and hit the buttons, buddy. I know you're anxious to do this. Yeah. So yes, probably appropriate to start with United. They played today.
Mm-hmm. Not a great performance, but I guess there's a few different ways of looking at it. In that they really gave up two silly goals, really, and it just showed that they weren't awake at the beginning of each half, which is disconcerting, but. You think that's a really easy box to check. The players themselves are going to say we did not walk out here ready. They're going to say it. They're not going to need to have that one pointed out to them. But the response was great, and they largely outplayed Leeds, in my opinion, for long stretches of the game. It was a sloppy game, which is what Leeds wanted, but I think United eventually took control of it. And I'll be honest, I think a lot of people were expecting United to perhaps pull it out and get all 3 points and make it a vintage comeback. It wasn't to be. So a little disappointing not to take advantage. But, Leeds comes in. They've got the new manager bump. That always helps. Yep. Weston McKennie in his first full start really provided a lot of energy. If not a lot of end product, he provides a lot of energy. A lot of fight. Him and Luke Shaw square up, I think, more than one time.
Yeah.
And that's what you want out of your midfield. And Weston and Tyler are going to be those kinds of bulldogs. But United came back, played well. Really, really great to see Jaden come on and be aggressive. When he came on previously, I thought it was signs of the old Jaden being a little reticent to actually run at people and take them on. I know the feeling because as a player and somebody who still plays, I notice that there are times where I'm essentially hiding on the field or not being as aggressive as I need to be, and it's hard to explain when and why those things happen. But it was really, really happy. Things changed immensely when they made the subs. I feel a little bad for Weghorst because he wasn't really getting any service, and then as soon as they changed and brought players on, all of a sudden balls are flying in the box, and obviously Rashford. So they kind of need to look at why that happened. But really, the response was great. They've been on a terrific run, so this is a bit of a bummer. But let's face it, they're still unbeaten. Still unbeaten at Old Trafford. Got a point. As long as they kind of maintain a bit of consistency, they've got a lot of games. I want to say, so let's see. Today's the 8th, and they played on the 1st and the 4th. So that's 1, 2, 3, including today, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 8 games in February, and February is the shortest month. So
wow.
I mean that's just really mind blowing. To see a team having to do that. So the squad depth is going to be challenged. They brought in Marcel Sabitzer, and basically as emergency cover for the absolute horror challenge from Andy Carroll on Christian Eriksen. How he escaped being sent off in that very moment, I don't know.
No idea how that.
But we're out Eriksen until sometime around May. And that's a real bummer. I mean, the way the guy plays, it's really hard to replace somebody who has the intangibles that he does. And you saw the partnership of Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno really blossoming, and they're usually at the heart of good moves for United. So that's gonna be a bummer. Sabitzer's a different player. He probably brings a lot more energy. Probably not quite the technical passer. But he's probably also more physical. So he's going to bring something different. He's sort of somewhere between Casemiro and Eriksen, but probably better than a Fred. So we're going to have to manage the games, put out the appropriate players, and players have got to be ready. But by and large, I'm currently very, very satisfied with what I'm seeing from the team. Don't have a lot of complaints. The fact that they were able to get somebody in the transfer window, on such short notice. I mean, that all happened on the final day. And, they had a dossier on Sabitzer. They'd looked at him before, and he beat the shit out of him 2 years ago in the Champions League while playing for RB Leipzig. So they're definitely familiar with him, and, he jumped at the chance too. So, it was a good fit all around. I know your team's, kind of going through some of its own growing pains, but when you look up at Manchester United right now, what are you seeing? What kind of trends are you seeing from the team? Well, as the opposition, if you will, what do you see that's good, that's bad, that's indifferent?
Yeah, I think that, a couple things about United. Number one, you could definitely see that they missed Eriksen and they missed Casemiro. They missed them. But this is my first point, is that even though they missed them, I mean, Erik ten Hag, the job he has done with not only putting together players and making sure that he has the right players in the right position, but the job he's done to get them to buy into what he's doing is amazing. Absolutely amazing. It could have been over at 2-0. Even at Old Trafford last year. No, 2 years ago. It
would have been a pure collapse. Last year, it would have been a pure collapse. Yes, absolutely. Rangnick, they were falling apart this time last year. So
this team that you see, has me very encouraged. I mean, I am a Chelsea fan through and through, but I don't care who you root for. A good Manchester United team is needed for the EPL. You got to have a good Manchester United team. You got to have a team. You got to have a United team that people are scared of. I think that you need to be scared of Man City. I think you need to be scared of Man United. I think you need to be scared of Liverpool, even though we can talk all day about Liverpool. Like, hey, at least.
But you're right. The league does need its big clubs to be big clubs, to behave that way. And, I think what's interesting about this season, and this is no disrespect to Arsenal, I'll give full credit where due, they have done a great job to be where they are at this point in the season. But it's still very hard for me to accept that they're the best team in the league. They've gotten off to the best start, and if they finish and win the trophy, then my words ring a bit hollow. But I think ultimately what you're seeing right now is several teams that are in various periods of transition. And I maintain Chelsea is where United probably were this time last year, although you've bought and brought in a lot of players. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Liverpool seem to have kind of outgrown themselves a little bit. Those are largely the same players, so maybe just a little bit of fresh blood, maybe some fresh tactics, because they do cover a lot of ground and they look a little tired. So maybe just bringing in some differences, but I'm with you. I think the league needs this, and Arsenal have just been the best at taking advantage of the fact that City can be got at. Now they're probably still the strongest team that if you punch them in the eye, they're going to go, okay,
it's on.
Let's see what we got. But what we saw today and what we've been seeing out of Manchester United recently is that willingness to fight back. And I think this time next year they do pull out a win, because they will probably have one or two more players either already in the squad that are matured or new people brought in to be those type of impactful players, and get that and be what Manchester United have always been. I think Chelsea are probably in the weakest position, but having the financial might that you do in bringing in these new players, it's really just down to Graham Potter figuring out who can play together. And the nice thing is right now I think you try to win every game, but I don't think Chelsea wants any part of the Champions League right now. And United fighting on four fronts is impressive, and players want to play, so they're basically playing every 3 to 4 days, and you'd like to think we're going to at least get one trophy out of all this. And if we can get, fingertip close to a couple more, maybe a semifinal in another one, maybe we end up becoming second place in the Premier League. That would be a huge feat. Let's win this Carabao Cup against Newcastle kind of thing. This is all great from, first season manager. I really think Liverpool are in the strange place right now. Because they're, you've brought in players. And maybe we can transition to that now and discuss that. You've brought in a lot of players. To me, it looked a little bit like throwing money at the wall. Like, we need players, so I'm just going to go out and get this. Now, to be fair, I didn't know anything about Enzo Fernandez, and he does look like he'll be fine.
He looks really good.
He's going to be solid. So, but did you get that same impression that it just kind of felt like it was like, well, that guy's available and that guy's available, and I've got all the money in the world, so I can buy these players? Do you see his vision?
Well, I just want to finish up on United real quick, man. Last thing I want to say is this. No, you're good. You're good. I do see this team challenging for the title this year. Yes, Eriksen is a big, huge blow that when will he be back? We don't know. Casemiro, okay, red card. He'll be back. He's coming back. He'll be fine. I think he gets back.
Absolutely fair red card, by the way.
It was.
He didn't need to march in like that, and I don't think he ever intended to actually put his hands around Will Phillips.
Yeah, his neck.
Well, I don't think he really intended to. He goes to grab him by the collar, and then his hands kind of slide up. But don't do it. You shouldn't be doing it at all. And you know what? He's the first person to do it. He was shaking his head as he walked off the field. Yeah. He knew he'd fucked up. He got himself caught up in the moment. But he probably was waiting on the guys in the locker room and apologized and said, "You will get the best version of me for the rest of the season." And that's professionals. So.
Yeah, no, but man, I'm telling you, I really do feel like Man U is on to something here. Mm-hmm. They're on a hell of a run, and as long as they keep listening to Ten Hag, they should be golden. They should be golden. You guys are definitely going to win. You're going to
let's see real quick
trophy.
So today was 2-2, and then they turn around and play Leeds again at the weekend.
Okay.
Two. Nope, not gonna do it for me. Okay.
Looks like right here you guys are 7 points back.
Yeah. And so we play Leeds again at the weekend. That is not what I wanted you to do. And sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at once. So got Leeds at the weekend, and then next week Barcelona away in the Europa. It's going to be interesting. Barcelona's been playing pretty well recently, and they're top in the La Liga, but they're not the finished deal either. Interestingly enough, I think a lot is going on around the various leagues right now, and I wonder how much of it may have to do with the World Cup being in the middle of the season, or maybe just some moons are aligning or something like that. But it's really interesting. I mean, obviously Bayern is top of the Bundesliga, but you look, it hasn't been smooth sailing. PSG, I think, are top of league on, but I mean, how do you even measure? But look at Italy; that's all over the place. I'm pretty sure Napoli is at the top right now. So you've had a lot of shakeups, a lot of change going on. So Barcelona away. If we can get a draw out of that, that's nice. Then come back home, play Leicester. Then we have Barcelona at home. Man, make that a classic night. Make the whole house shake. And then, to finish out February on the 26th, play, Newcastle at Wembley in the Carabao Cup final. So, their destiny is their own hands, and February could be, make or break for them on, it's going to let you know how many fronts can you compete on. And
absolutely.
Fingers crossed.
Hit that blues music, my friend. And the one on
need to update our chants. I've been getting new notifications from fan chants. I'm gonna have to update them because Bruno was not the game winner today, so I can't be playing the Bruno today.
Well, you can't be playing Bruno. Man, I tell you, yes, I totally thought that the things that were going on, we were just throwing money against the wall and seeing who would come and pick it up, and hey, let's get this person. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. Madueke, I think.
Madueke, I think that is. I think that's correct.
Yeah, Fernandez and Mudryk are the three most recent signings.
Mm-hmm.
I like this, and here's why. I like the way we are learning how to play. Playing the same sandbox together. We have we've got youth. Number one, that was the biggest thing that we needed to address was that we were getting old and we need youth. And I think we went out and we got the youth. So that's number one. Number two, we have a 16 16 people we have brought in. Let me make sure. Yeah, 16 that we have brought in during the course of this season. And I think that with the exception of Aubameyang, yes. I forget who said it at the beginning of the season. Might have been Nick. Said good luck. Yeah, I know what that meant, Nick. So thanks a lot for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that as you look at the people we've brought in, brought back, starting with Conor Gallagher, we brought him back in August, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of them have had moments. And I think that whenever you see players having moments to where they're starting to look a certain way, I think that that's an indication that, yes, we do. There's a spot for you on this team. Then you bring in, Koulibaly, and you bring in, you brought in Sterling and Cucurella, but then you brought in Koulibaly same time, Fofana the following month in September, skipping over Aubameyang, Chukwuemeka in October, Zakaria in November, Hutchinson, Humphreys, those guys, Fofana in January. You haven't seen, João Felix. You haven't really seen these guys play a whole lot. And the fact is that the issue that we have is that we have, as you have 8 games in February, we have 5. We have 5 in February. January was a disaster. We started out with a draw with Nottingham Forest, and then we lost a close one to Man City, and then we got blasted by Man City. We got beaten by Fulham. We eked out a 1-0 win against Palace, and then Liverpool and Fulham. 0-0, 0-0 draw. We still can't score goals, but here's what I found out about goal scoring with Chelsea. Maybe Graham Potter is starting to realize that we don't have a number 9. We just don't have a number 9, but we can manufacture goals. We can do this. Chelsea is a team that has the skeleton to manufacture goals without a number 9, a clear number 9. And maybe this is what he's trying to build. Maybe he's trying to build a multi-tiered attack type thing, which I'm all for. I'm like, I just don't see us. I just don't see us having that number 9 this season. But that doesn't mean that we circle the wagons and we pack everything up. We have to be able to score goals, and I think that with what's coming up, it's going to be crucial. We have West Ham on Saturday, and then big one. Following Wednesday, Dortmund and Chelsea. Then we're at the bridge with Southampton, and then we close out February at Tottenham, and that's going to be.
But I'm looking here, and the main issue is the fact that 3 of those 4 are away. Okay, but setting that aside, West Ham have been struggling. They may be ripe to be picked apart. Moyes is probably 1 or 2 bad results away. They say his job is safe, and I don't want to see him get sacked, but I've been following the English Premier League long enough to know that it could very well be coming. And then, Dortmund away.
That's tough, dude.
Graham Potter's going to earn his salary there because you're a team in transition that is struggling for goals. So do you walk in there saying, you know what, we're just going to keep things tight. I've got some good, smart defenders, defensive midfielders. We'll play on the counter. We'll try to, we'll use the pace that we've got in guys like, Havertz and Ziyech. Let's get that ball wide. This is a game I feel a little bit bad for Pulisic, because obviously I think this would have been a game that he'd been very up for, right? Former club, definitely wants to show himself. He'd probably get love from the crowd. Those are interesting ones to play in. So, that'll be, I'm interested to see how Potter's going to set up. Southampton at home, I mean, it could be a banana peel, but let's face it, they are struggling badly.
Yeah,
And,
sure.
That could be a place where you really get an opportunity to stretch the legs. And then Spurs away, I mean, look, London Derby, it's going to be a big game no matter what. They played well the other day, but I mean, I don't think anybody's convinced by Spurs right now. So,
here's the key. I think the key for the Blues fans out there, guys, we obviously, we don't want our players to do this, but as fans, it's all about March. It's all about March. Can we win? Can we win all three of those EPL matches we have in March? We've got Leeds at home, we've got Leicester City away, and we've got Everton at home. We have to win those three matches. I am not scared about being relegated. We don't even need to start talking about that. But I would love to stay in the top half of the table, which I think we will do. But I think that if we want any chance at all, to even sniff the Europa, we have to perform well in March. We have to. I can see Newcastle. I can see them taking some beatings and moving down a little bit. Tottenham may stumble. I'm going to say it. I don't see Brighton. I don't see them faltering. I mean,
they've looked good. The best thing about them is Brentford and Brighton are fully deserved of where they are. And take a look. Brighton and Hove are 2 games in hand. So that could be 40 points by the time they've played the same number of games as everybody else. So the nice thing is, though, you're on 30 in 9th place, but I mean, the 3 teams right in front of you, Fulham, Brentford, and Brighton and Hove, you could reel them all in with a stretch of 2-3 good games if they don't get the results they need, and then suddenly you're looking at 6th place and talking about the Europa, and that knowing that the team has the quality to come back like that and to be in the Europa League. Yeah, players want to go to the Champions League and blah 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 blah, but it's all about ambition.
Yeah,
and if you can get yourself into that Europa League spot, and obviously anybody who's looking at Chelsea right now is licking their chops saying, well, I know I'm going to get paid, and they look ambitious. He's spending money. I'm going to at least take the meeting because I want to hear what the plan is. I'm looking at it and didn't know these guys well enough to say, are they, do they belong together? You look at certain players and you're like, oh, it makes total sense that Casemiro and Eriksen are going to play well together. They're such, consummate professionals. But you bring in guys from disparate leagues with different ages and stuff like that. It's not always as easily understood among the players on the field. So you do have that question mark. But, Todd Bowley didn't come there to fucking finish 9th. Right. He's there to win trophies, and he's there to put his name in the place of Roman Abramovich, and at least with his checkbook, he's putting his money where his mouth is. So
man, and the last thing I'll say about Chelsea is, if there's anybody out there who is questioning whether or not Potter's the man, guys, stop.
It's just too early. It's rude to do.
It's rude. It's dumb. This is what? As much as Tuchel was frustrating for me, the guy was a great coach. And after a year, just a little bit over a year, we can't keep doing this as Chelsea fans. We have to get past it. There's one thing about Abramovich that just got under my skin, is like the carousel. Like, oh, you're not getting it done. Oh, you got to go. Go. I'm like, man, stop it. Just stop.
It's just not how the game has really ever worked. And he had some success, but the problem is you have to have a team that's already fighting for those things. And the problem is, and I've got a few theories, but I can't pinpoint exactly one thing, and I don't think it's necessarily one thing. But Chelsea got old. Chelsea didn't look after the things that they needed to. And you know what? Maybe the whole, Russia invading Ukraine and everything that has gone on really got in the way of the ability to do that. But Chelsea dropped off a bit of a ledge. There's work to do to get back to being that team the same way there was for Manchester United. Manchester United, had a couple seasons interspersed there over the last decade where they were in the running. But let's face it, a lot of the time you were like, are they going to finish top four? Are they going to get it over the line? There were a lot of question marks. They were no longer a team to fear. No one was afraid of coming to Old Trafford. And you've got to build back up to that point and have some consistent runs before you can be like, all right, I got to bring in a manager and I'm going to give him 2 seasons to do it. Look, Jose Mourinho can build you a team and win a trophy, and he can come in and take a team that's right on the cusp and win a trophy. But very few people can do both of those things.
Yeah,
truly.
I agree.
And to expect somebody to come into this situation and not give them the time. I mean, maybe this is more for the second half of things, but why do you give Jesse Marsch a full transfer window and then fire him after a tough result?
Yep. Yeah. And yes, you're right. That'll be after halftime, because I imagine we'll probably discuss those 2 managers for a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached halftime of the Red and the Blue Soccer Chat. And those of you who are new to the pod, this is the time where Aaron and I share a halftime shot. And my halftime shot tonight is what's called Cinnamon Toast Crunch, dude.
Oh, lovely.
It is. Yeah, it is a college drink. Half rum chata, half fireball.
Oh,
I know. It
sounds pretty good, honestly. It actually sounds pretty good.
Winter night, man. For winter night, props to one of my one of my former students, Des. She, as a senior, she's like, "Hey, Professor Casey, you might like this." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll try that when I get home." And she said, "Try this, mix it with half, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Cool." Went back the next day. I was like, "That's dangerous, dude. It's so good. It is like wonderful." Wonderful. So thanks a lot, Des. Appreciate it. Just saying.
Are the Jesuits cool with the students giving teachers drink advice? The Jesuits like their wine, I think.
Well, here's the thing. We're not Jesuits. So, and so it's like Jesuits and then Franciscans. So
that's right. My bad. Okay.
Here's the thing. The president just hosted a faculty happy hour on campus. So I think I'm okay. All right. I think I'm okay. But yeah, no, dude, this is really good. But it's at this point where we actually say like who our halftime shot is for. Aaron, who's your halftime shot for today?
You know what? I'm going cheater method. But I just want to give a big shout out to everybody at Chatham Tap Fishers. They support us greatly. They were not there tonight, unfortunately, but they let us broadcast from there. They're wonderful hosts. They will be open at, I believe, 10 o'clock on Saturday, 9:30 on Sunday. Breakfast both days.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, wait, I'm wrong. 9:30 on Saturday, 9 on Sunday. So, they will have breakfast. So I just want to give a big shout out. They had their annual Christmas party / if we like you well enough, you get invited to customer appreciation party. And they're just great people that run a great restaurant bar. I don't even live near there anymore, and it's still what I consider my local. They love the footy. They've got great food and just some of the best servers, bartenders, and management around. So that's my big shout out to them. Totally appreciate it. Hopefully we'll be broadcasting back from there before too long. So shout out everybody. Sláinte. Love you all for tuning in.
Like candy, dude.
Ooh, that is not like candy.
Oh man.
Ooh.
Beautiful. Oh.
Also,
Okay.
shout out to Mom for having a Mickey Mouse shot glass.
Yay. Mickey likes his alcohol.
And
yeah, there you go.
We have
yes.
2 new guests. We have Statler and Waldorf. They're in the house. Yes.
Oh, that is.
Disney owns the
Why
Muppets.
do we always come here? I guess we'll never know. It's kind of like some torture to
have to watch the show.
There it is. Okay. See,
all right.
I told you. It's this. It's the stuff, man. It's the stuff.
So continuing on then with Jesse Marsch, and I think this will lead into a conversation about the U.S. men's national team.
Yes, sir.
Was it harsh on Jesse? Was it harsh on Marsch to get the sack at this point in the season? And follow-up question, should Jesse Marsch be the next manager of the U.S. men's national team and go?
I'm going to answer the second one first because I think it's, well, he's available. So I mean, he's available now. I think that you also have to look at Jose Mourinho because he's been mentioned. I know how some people feel. I get it. I totally do. But to have a caliber, manager like that who actually is entertaining it, I think you dig a little deeper. I think you dig into that and you see what's going on. But still, because of the relationship, I like Jesse Marsch. Yeah. I like him as a U.S. men's national team manager. I do. First part of the question, do I think it was harsh? I think that sacking a manager is always harsh. I think that it's one of those deals. I don't care if you're it doesn't matter who you are. To sack a manager is tough. You think about it. I mean, Weston McKennie, why did he come there? Did he come there because he wanted to, play with the guys, or did he want to play with Jesse Marsch, or a little bit of both? Because now he's kind of facing the same thing that Aubameyang faced in the fact that it's like, wait a minute. I was coming here, because of Tuchel. I wasn't necessarily coming here because of Potter, and yet this happened, and what the heck? So I think that I think that you look at that in that aspect. I think that sacking a manager at any time is harsh.
He didn't even make it a year.
No, he really? I thought he was there. No, you're right.
February 28th of last year.
Yep, didn't even make it a year. I think that for a team like Leeds, number one, they're going to be managers lining up for that because the history that Leeds has, the rivalry they have with Man U and other teams, the massive support that they have is going to be, don't worry about finding a manager. You don't need to do that. But for Jesse Marsch, I think that it is indicative of the times that we are in as far as the EPL is concerned. I think that if you set expectations so high from performing so well the season before, and you come in and he's only had 2 home victories so far this season. It's tough. It's tough to answer for that. It is.
Yeah. 4 wins, 7 draws, and 10 losses overall. I don't know the breakdown. But I mean, if they've only got 4 wins, then only 2 home, 2 away is not,
It's not going to cut it. It just isn't going to cut it. And so, you look at your players. The players are the same pretty much from last year. You're adding guys, and yes, you just naturally look at the manager. But once again, is this the way the EPL is going? Are you not able to have a mediocre or a down year? I'm like, this is not the way sports really work, man. I mean, think about it. We endured. I mean, this is switching sports, but you and I endured the entire time having Dusty Baker manage the Cincinnati Reds. And and so, he was still there, but we still supported the team. Dusty, okay, fine, whatever, but they gave him time and it just didn't work out. You don't just sack a manager after a year. That's my rant about it. I don't get it.
And here's what's interesting. I think what has happened is ownership has looked at a trend. Because let's walk through their results. Leeds opened the season with a 2-1 win, a 2-2 draw away, a 3-0 win at home against Chelsea. Sorry.
No.
A 3-1 win against Barnsley, a 1-0 loss away to Brighton and Hove, and a draw with Everton to kick off the season in August. So they won 3 of their 4 wins in the month of August in the opening. And then they proceeded to lose 5-2 to Brentford, draw, 2-1 loss, 1-0 loss, 2-0 loss, 3-2 loss. They beat Liverpool 2-1, which was only shocking because at the time everybody thought we didn't know what Liverpool was going to be like.
Yeah.
Then a 4-3 win at home against Bournemouth, and everything since. 1-0 loss away to Wolves, 4-3 loss away to Tottenham, which was a heartbreaker. I remember it. 3-1 loss at home to City, 0-0 draw with Newcastle. So you're looking at draws and 1-goal losses for the most part. They've had one bad loss, but their problem is they just can't score goals on a consistent basis, and they typically lose 1-goal games.
Yeah. Sounds familiar.
Well, but here's the thing.
Familiar.
You and United has endured this several times over the course of the last decade since Fergie's been gone. When you're not getting the results and you're not getting goals, everything kind of follows on from that. Leeds is a good team. They have good players. They work hard. But Patrick Bamford is a championship level striker leading the line for a Premier League team. They've just never really gotten there with that. To be honest, they don't create a lot of opportunities. I mean, they need more than just a number 9 to finish them off. They need some creativity as well.
Yeah.
So
and I think,
they will fight you tooth and nail for 90 minutes, but they're not going to knock on your door all that much.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's got to change.
As we have progressed, I look and I see improvements, and we still lose our heads every once in a while, and I get it, but I see improvements from Kepa. I see improvements from our back line. Our defense has quote unquote won us draws this year. And I think that defensively we're going to be okay. I think that once Potter gets the right combination, especially in the midfield, Mudryk, he has made runs, I think, that has confused some of our players. Like when he makes runs from the midfield, he doesn't necessarily need to get the ball. He's trying to clear out space, and I think that people get.
I think you and I both watched the exact same commentary that made that statement, and I remember in the moment thinking that's a great point. Just because he makes a run doesn't mean he necessarily needs or wants the ball. He's somebody who's selflessly making a run so that you can now take the space that he has vacated. So you know what? Maybe it just requires 6 weeks of practicing together. To get it right.
That immediately made me think of the difference between Mount passing to Mudryk and Mount passing to Aubameyang. Aubameyang waits and then takes off.
And expects the ball. He's making that run because he wants that ball in behind the defense, and that's appropriate. I mean, I like Aubameyang as a player. It's it must be his off field mentality and the way that impacts how he ends up playing. Because when he's at his best, when you get the best out of him and he's feeling good about life, he's a tremendous goal scorer.
Sure. But the same with Lukaku as well. I mean, these are the people that they were trying to get the ball to, but it seems like, and this is why I think Potter's putting together something that deals without having a true number 9. The false 9, in my opinion, it can work. It can work. You need the right skilled players in order to make it work, and you need to make sure your other players are on that same page. Right now, it seems like the players who have been there, Mount, James, the rest of the guys, oh my gosh, Chilwell, when he comes off the bench, those guys are so used to delivering the ball into the box, deliver the ball into the box, that they've forgotten that they can actually dribble the ball a little bit, that they can actually take on a defender and try and beat them. And it's okay because you have people backing you up now that aren't 35, 36, 37 years old. If we ever get Conte back, I will literally buy an entire round for whatever bar we're sitting in, man, because to have that type of player back would be wonderful. But at this point, and this is something I wanted to ask you, would N'Golo Kante, would he still be part, in your opinion, of the plan? Would he still be part of the plan that possibly Graham Potter's trying to put together? Or is he going to be one of those type of mentor players that Thiago Silva is, and just having them just coach the young guys?
Well, but I think Thiago Silva is more than just a mentor. I think he's the kind of guy that if you've got a big game, he's probably playing. Like, he's going to play in the Champions League. He may not play in the match before it. So, N'Golo Kante, if he can get back to a high level of fitness, because let's face it, that was one of the biggest things about him, is the guy's engine, and he's just been hurt for so long that might be difficult. But if he can get back to that level, then no, he offers something so completely unique. Obviously, he's a veteran, and his leadership and communication will be huge. But if you can bring him in for big matches, the versatility that provides, because that allows Enzo Fernandez to push a little bit further up, right? He can use those skills a little bit further up the pitch. I absolutely think there's a place for him. Not long term, obviously. You're not like, 5 years from now we're still going to have Conte, but this time next year he could be an incredibly important player for the club to use in big matches. If one of the last things he does is help you lift a Europa League trophy while you finish in third next season, and that's the platform for Chelsea in 2024, 2025 kind of thing, then that would be fantastic. Sure. I'm looking at your squad right now, and I don't know what has happened to Edouard Mendy, but he's clearly not even, I don't know if he's even second choice right now. But you've brought in a lot of players. My question is, certain guys need to be moved on because they're too old, and certain guys need to be moved on because they're just not fitting in with this plan. Cesar Azpilicueta is only 33, but it feels like he's been around for about 25 years, and he has been a fantastic servant, and he deserves his what do they call him?
His props.
His testimonial. He deserves his testimonial, but he needs to move on. You need to find a new leader of this club. He's really just full of shithousery at this point. Certain people like Andre Santos, I think he's maybe one for the future. He's 18 years old, but Enzo Fernandez is 22. He's ready to hit the ground running.
Yes.
I don't know if Kovacic needs to stick around. It might be time to move him on. Ruben Loftus-Cheek has had a lot of opportunities, has never really taken them.
Stand out.
You already tried to move on Hakim Ziyech, and I know he started the next game, but I have a feeling that he's going to go. I think Kai Havertz might even go.
Havertz got to go. I'm sorry. I'm calling it right now. He does not fit.
No.
He doesn't.
I'm looking at, you got Chukwuemeka, Hutchinson, I'd like to see him more time. Hall has gotten a little bit of time. Aubameyang is clearly gone. Joao Felix, I realize he's only 23. That's impressive. I think Sterling has been okay. Not, he's not been groundbreaking, but he's also not been bad. I think he's fine to stick around. Broya, I don't know. I mean, probably give him another season to see. Fofana, haven't really seen enough of him, but I know he was good at what was that, Fulham or Bournemouth? Yeah, Fulham.
Yeah, Fulham.
So, and Madueke, I mean, he's only 20 years old. I don't know. So, I think you make some shrewd decisions to get rid of a few players. And also because, Azpilicueta is probably on quite a bit of a salary. He's one of the senior players. He's probably eating up $250,000 to $300,000 a week, I'm guessing. And you can say, let's try to find some 22-year-old, maybe promote somebody from the youth or reserves, or go out and find some other baller-ass Spaniard like you did with him in the first place, and bring somebody in that you can really groom to be that kind of player. I mean, you can't. It's tough to go out and buy leaders.
It is.
You don't say, "Oh, we're missing a leader, so I need to go find one," and all of a sudden they come in and they're like, "Yeah, this is my team." But like, ironically, I think Bruno is kind of that player for United, but we didn't buy him to be a leader. We bought him to be Bruno Fernandez, and it just turns out that it comes with him being a pretty hardcore on-field leader, and I like that. But it would be great if, I'd love to see a Conor Gallagher grow into that role and be like, I'm James Milner. I'm going to give you 7 out of 10 every week. Yeah. I'm going to be your workhorse. I'm going to do this for you. And I think he's got the ability to do it. So the skeleton of this club is there. You're all right.
Absolutely.
I would just love to be a fly on the wall for Graham Potter and Todd Bowley conversations. I'd love to hear. No, I would. I'd love to hear the machinations of it, because I can envision Ten Hag walking in to meet with certain people, and he's going to be right like this. What's Graham Potter like? I just don't know him well enough in that respect.
Yeah. Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the Hey Aaron segment of our show. And in this segment, I get to ask Aaron a question, usually a visual or whatever type of question. But tonight is a simple question, my friend. You and I are having drinks right now, and I just wanted to get your opinion on the mid-season of of the EPL. Has anything shocked you? Have you seen anything as far as disappointments, just huge accomplishments? What are the things that you've seen so far that makes you raise your eyebrow as far as the EPL is concerned?
I've been sad for certain managers. I was really hoping Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard would be kicking off this next generation of top-level English managers, and they still may, but I think Frank is going to take a break for a little bit. Honestly, I still have a question. I know in the interim, Chelsea have won at least a Champions League, maybe the league, since he's been gone, but ask yourself, would Chelsea be in a better place right now if he'd have been given that next 18 months or so? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Just personally, I just, these guys I look up to them as players and now managers, and I want to see them be successful. So that's disappointing, especially, the whole Sean Dyche thing, although, he parlayed that into, winning his first match for Everton and taking down Arsenal. So, it's strange how the world works. I gotta say, I did not believe Arsenal would still be top at this point, but they have a 5-point lead and 2 games in hand. So, they can stretch that to 56 points. Obviously, they only have 1 game in hand on City, but they'll both play more games. So, United's sitting on 22 games played, Arsenal's on 20. That's a 7-point difference. So it could potentially be 13 points. I have to give props. I really, really don't like Mikel Arteta as a manager. But he has done a good job. And I don't like him because I don't like the guys who act like, well, I never committed a foul my entire life. My players have never done anything bad. I get it. You're there for your team, but you're also a dick. And you're annoying to the fourth official. You're annoying to the other manager. You've always wanted to start shit. He's definitely somebody I would have kicked in a game. But I think I got to be honest. I think the biggest question, the biggest what the fuck is going on is Liverpool. Right? I don't expect Chelsea to be ninth, and I don't think that's where they're going to finish. But it's understandable to me that because of the turmoil that they've gone through over the last year in ownership and then getting a different manager, all of it stands to reason that they were going to stumble a little bit, and I think ultimately you'll recover to be fifth or sixth place. Mm-hmm. But how do you explain what is going on at Liverpool? Wow. Then this is not only the same team that has run it close for the last 4 years in a row in nearly every competition, but they've supposedly strengthened with 2, if not 3, top-level signings that have just not panned out. So what's going on? And I'm not about to say, oh, Jurgen Klopp's job is in danger or he should be sacked or anything. That would be ludicrous. But somebody needs to be figuring out what the malaise is at Liverpool, because if this continues, I don't think they're going to get relegated, but they're in 10th place on 20 games. So again, they could, if they were to win their next couple of matches, they'd be on 35 points and suddenly they'd be in 6th place. So there's that. But I don't think anybody has any confidence that they could potentially go on a run like that right now. Something would have to be a spark for them to change. And if they continue on the form they currently are, I could see them falling down to maybe 14th or 15th. Oh, they're not going to get sucked into a relegation battle. And as much as they're a rival of Manchester United and it's fun to, have banter, I don't, like you said earlier, the Premier League's better when you've got Liverpool, Manchester United, these classic historical clubs. I mean, I kind of love seeing Newcastle be in 4th place. They don't have the trophy cabinet the rest of us do, but that club is historic and has a wonderful following. You want to see them in the running. I don't want to see Liverpool fall that far. Look, finish behind us. I'm cool with that. But, you want that competition. You want that fire. And Klopp seems as confused by it all as the rest of us. Like he's like, I don't get it. We look fine, and then we don't win. So I think those are my big hitters right there. I disappointed for certain managers, as I always am. I hate the coaching carousel. I hate that bullshit. And how quick, especially in the Premier League, they are to sack managers. Props to Arsenal for being top, and really just what the fuck is going on in Liverpool. So,
yeah, man,
that's my take.
There you go. Thanks, Aaron. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on the Red and the Blue Soccer Chat presented by the Evan and Aaron Show. Dude, it's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. And we now have come to the final part of our show, Aaron's final thoughts segment. And I just want to say, dude, that it's always a pleasure. And, dude, what do you got for us today?
You know what? I'm going to say this. I did not have an opportunity to watch it personally myself. So everything has been news reporting and after the fact and reading about how people responded. But I'm going to get political for a second, like we used to do on this show, and say, one of the disappointing things for me last night was you can think Joe Biden's not doing a good job. You can think that some of his policies aren't accurate. You can even try to accuse him of lying, but I'd really like to see how that works out well for the people who do, especially coming from them. But I found it strange that, a good portion of this was about how if we just come together, we can be strong, we can be unified, and that the things that unite us are so much closer and so much bigger than the things that divide us. And I just wish we could figure out a way to overcome that? And I don't have an answer. I'm not going to sit here and preach to anybody, but I do think this, and I think this is consistent with how I end this show a lot. Talk to people on an individual level and try to meet them on their terms. And even when you disagree, acknowledge that the disagreement itself doesn't make you enemies. It makes you have differing opinions on things. It doesn't make one person evil or bad, because let's face it, there's very truly few of that. There really is, right? Yeah. So I think try to make that connection. Try to acknowledge that people have different perspectives from one another, and let's find that common ground. Let's embrace the unity. We don't need to choose conflict. We can choose to agree to disagree, which is far, far better than choosing to say that whatever is the opposite of what I believe is evil and wrong, and I need to stamp that out.
Yep. And
I can do better. You can do better. We can all do better. But that's what I'm leaving you with tonight. Joe Biden extended a fig leaf, and I think people should choose to say, I will take that and let's have a discussion.
Yep.
It's not giving in. It's not losing your position. It's saying, I will try to meet you somewhere between these two positions so that we may move forward as people. And that's what I hope to do in my one-on-ones with people on a daily basis. And that's what I hope to spread and share with everybody here. Because even jokingly, Chelsea, I don't hate Chelsea. Chelsea's a rival. You know, even the big ones, even it's Liverpool or it's Leeds or whatever. Yeah, that's fine, and we can talk a little smack. But at the end of the day, we're humans trying to get through the day in the exact same way and get a little bit of joy out of watching our teams play, and that's why we're fans. And we can be fans of opposing teams together and still get the same enjoyment and put our arm around one another and say, you won today, or I won today, or it was a draw. Let's still go to the pint and have a pub.
Yep.
Or go to the pub and have a pint.
Yes.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when you join the Red and Blue Soccer Chat. So, love to you all. Evan, love you, my friend. As ever, shout out to Chatham. Get there this weekend and enjoy their wings. And gotta be honest, I'm a fair weather Eagles fan this weekend.
Oh, wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first here. Hit that theme music, baby. And we are going to sign out for tonight. Guys, listen, thank you so much for everything you do, for the time you spend listening to our drunk asses talk about the beautiful game. So, for my friend Aaron, this is Evan. The Red and Blue Soccer Chat says, peace.